Are you living a life that expresses your unique individuality? Or are you conforming, copying, imitating others? Are you singing your own song? Or are you singing the song that others have told you to sing? Is your life defined by the expectations, demands, definitions of your parents, of peer pressure, of other forces that are shaping you? Or is it coming from your inner, unique, and exclusive self? One of the most devastating poems is The Voiceless by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Paraphrasing, alas to those that die with their song still inside them. Sometimes we don't even know that we actually have a unique song, a unique voice, because we've been programmed from our formative years to live up to someone else's demands, someone else's expectations, someone else's attitudes. Please join me in this very important discussion. How to find your own voice, the flame that rises on its own. You are born an original. Don't become a copy. Hi, this is Simon Jacobson, and we'll be speaking about how to find your own voice, the flame that rises on its own. This program is dedicated by Susan Burnett. I ask you to sit down, take a few moments, and ask yourself this vital question. The life you live, do you feel it's your own life, expressing your voice, singing your song? Or are you living a life that was shaped and defined by others? Maybe by the expectations and demands of your parents, educators, social peer pressure. How much of your life is really yours? One of the most devastating poems is The Voiceless by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Alas, he says, alas to those that never sing and die with all the music in them. Somewhat paraphrased, alas to those that die with their song still inside them. The truth is, no matter what others may have told you, that you have a unique self, a unique psyche, a unique soul. And there are things that only you and only you can accomplish. But the nature of the world is one that pressures us to conform, to fit into other people's narrative, instead of writing your own narrative. Obviously, as children, we want to learn. We're educated, and hopefully by people who have good intentions in mind, and help teach us, help shape us, but not define us. They help direct. Think of a gardener. A gardener does not create a flower. You cultivate. You create a fertile ground. You nurture, you water, and the flower rises. But when you have an unhealthy gardener or a dysfunctional person or insecure individual, often their insecurities are going to spill over to those that come in their proximity, namely parents and children. As they say, hurt people hurt people. And they may not even know they're doing it. But it's in their own insecurity that they need things to fit in under their control. I can't tell you how many times I've had to deal with adults who are doing what they do because their parents felt that was the best thing for them. As the voice inside them always felt something's not it. But they were dissuaded, they were criticized, they were mocked, they were dismissed, invalidated. So of course a person like that is going to develop a personality that may not even be your own. And your song remains locked, trapped inside you. To the point you may not even know that it's there. If you know it's there, at least there's that awareness. It could be quite painful. So what we want to accomplish, what I want to focus on here, is how to help you free that voice. But the only way you can do that is by first recognizing the forces, the invisible forces, the subconscious ones, the subliminal ones that you may not even be aware of, that have shaped and defined you. And I want to make it very clear, this does not mean, I'm not trying to criticize everything that our parents or educators or role models, for good or for bad, have done in shaping us in our young formative years. Because there may be many, many good things. But you want to ask yourself that question. You want to be able to pluck. You want to be able to embrace the positives and learn how to free yourselves from the negatives. And you need courage for that. Because often we're afraid to face even our own demons and our own fears. Because as children, we've developed literally fear of not upsetting someone, not living up to their expectations, their demands. And especially when you have very controlling, strong, aggressive adults around you. So all that is required to be able to get there. So it requires an element of courage to get out of your comfort zone. And that's why I ask you to challenge yourself. But do it in a way that works. We're not suggesting an assault on any person's psyche. But just let's start with introspection, a soul search. So I would suggest, write down on a piece of paper, what are the things you're most involved in, the things you're most committed to? And then ask yourself, are these things you chose, or were they imposed on you? Or are they out of necessity? For example, you need to pay your bills. You need to support your family. So you're doing the work you do, you may not enjoy it, but there's like no choice in your mind. And try to identify the things that really resonate with you and say, no matter what, I would be doing them. But ask yourself, is that really true? Or is it because you are programmed and even brainwashed to think that way? But as best as you can, try to identify the things that you feel are really you. What are the things that others have defined in you, have put you in this position? And it would be extremely helpful to find a mentor or a friend, someone you trust, that's objective, and say, here's my list. What do you think? I have found that when you do that, often friends will say, I never wanted to say anything to you because I never wanted to upset you. But I do think there's a lot of potential within you that you don't even attempt to actualize. And let them help you define how much of it is how much that you're involved in is actually your voice, and how much is being suppressed unconsciously, subconsciously. Because that's the beginning of awareness, self-awareness. Now you may not always like what you discover. You may realize, hey, my parents, my educators, friends, good friends, bad friends. I wanted to be a pleaser. I wanted to make people happy. I felt I was then validated. So I did things that were not necessarily aligned with my own conscience. I mean, that's one scenario. There are obviously many. Try to separate between the things that really come from within you. I recently met someone who's extremely creative, talented, and naturally plays music, actual music. But he, from the youngest of age, was always told that you need to become a lawyer, you need to become someone that can earn a nice living. And he was discouraged from following his own heart. But he knew, especially as he got older, there was a deep void. He felt there was a song or songs that he should sing, and he was not allowed. You can imagine the pain. And when he did try, it was mocked, it was criticized, it was dismissed. So I saw it as my role in a way, divine providence, to help encourage him. I said, listen, don't upset your whole life. Continue doing what you're doing. But let's find time, an hour a week, 2 hours a week. I hooked him up with some people who were creative types like himself. And you have to see how a human being went through a metamorphosis, a change. Because what happened was that, like a fish in water, that was taken out of the water. And he was now discovering his natural waters. It was still challenging because there's so much you do that becomes your habit and your routine. It's not easy to just change. So the key is to do it piecemeal. Simply be able to adapt, assimilate, to acclimate yourself to finding your voice. It's like for years, you've never allowed to speak or speak your heart, from your heart and soul. And now suddenly you're allowed to. You have to pace it. But the most important thing is to know absolutely that you have that voice and you have that song. Then you have to, once you identify that, then you have to be around people who encourage you. You don't have to go to war necessarily against those that are pressuring you, but slowly as you mature, you come to feel, okay, you know what, these are not people that I think I should allow to influence me. Because their influence is all about them, not about me. I remember speaking to someone who went through a lot of challenges in his life. He was already in his early 30s. Went through many, many challenges. And for some reason, we hit it off, we were talking, and he shared with me a moment, an epiphany, but not a positive one. As a teenager, he was going through a lot of troubles, finding himself. His father was very dominant, very aggressive. And he always wanted his father's love. So he tried to please him and please him and please him. But it backfired, obviously. And instead of finding his path, he began to resent himself and resent his father, resent his parents. His mother was just, from his point of view, just a pushover, a wimp, as he put it. She just simply was used by his father. He saw his father as a narcissist. He sat down with him one day and was trying to share with him, the son, with the father, some of his troubles. And trying to explain why he's acting out. So he thought there'd be a little compassion. His father would want to know more about it. Like, what's going on? Share with me, talk to me. The thing that he heard from his father was the exact opposite. He says, do you know who I am? I am a distinguished member of my community, well respected, and you're becoming an embarrassment to me. People look at you, it's my son. You know what it reflects on? It was all about him. Not even one word about what is the son experiencing. He says that was it. At that point he realized it's not just he wasn't finding his voice. He was finding a person who was just using him. Beknoeth to him or not, consciously or not, and completely not recognizing another human being. His own son. Now, these things are heartbreaking. But that doesn't mean it's hopeless. Because once you recognize that, then the goal is, okay, I can't find it this way, I'll find it another way. You know, in a tree, its roots are looking for water and sustenance and nourishment, and there's something that blocks them from accessing a water source. The roots will grow around, they will readjust and rewire themselves, so to speak, to find the water. That's what's needed to be done, because you don't want to remain suffocating and asphyxiated because of the lack of that nurturing, that validation. But he needed years of work to get there. Obviously, imagine how much easier it would be if parents and educators and adults would see that. And this brings me to an unbelievable message that we read actually in this week's Torah portion. And it's about the lighting of the candelabra, of the menorah in the temple. So it was done in a very precise way. In the Bible, the Torah uses an interesting expression. When you will raise the flames, talking about the high priest who would light the menorah. Now, raise the flames in Hebrew, bahalotcha, it's a strange term. You ignite flames, you kindle them, you light them. What does it mean to raise them? So the commentaries explain, because it was critical, not just to light the flames, but to make sure they rise on their own. You know, when you light a flame, you'll see it takes like a split second for it to catch. So you could say, you know what, let me move on to the next one. Doesn't catch, I'll return to it. So we're told, no, raise them. Make sure they rise on their own before you light the next flame. Why is that so important? As I said, you could always return to it. Because lighting the flames is not just a ritual. It is the essence of life. An educator lights the flame of a student. A parent lights the flame of their child. Friends, any form of inspiration. Because the soul is compared to a flame, as it says in the book of Proverbs. But a flame needs fuel, and it needs to be lit. So we're being told, don't just light, don't just illuminate, don't just ignite. Make sure that the flame rises on its own. In other words, don't just teach a child or a student information and data. Teach them methodology. Don't just help them find fish and give them the fish. Teach them how to fish. Don't just provide answers to questions. Teach them how to answer questions. In other words, don't just teach them what to think, but how to think. So even when they're not in the presence of the one lighting their candle, their flame, they burn on their own. That is a radical difference between two types of education. One teaches knowledge, facts, even if you provide that in an excellent way. But another empowers. The first one allows the student to know a lot, but who says they'll ever become a teacher? The second method, rising the flames, they in turn will become a teacher, an educator. They in turn will be able to ignite others and raise the flames of others. So it's a key lesson in parenting, in education, in inspiration, in communication, in motivation. And those are the ones that are most successful. I remember when my book, Toward a Meaningful Life, was published, I asked the publisher, William Morrow, what is the measure, the litmus test of a successful book? So most people would say one that sells millions of copies and makes millions of dollars. He said, no. The success of a book is measured in one way. The people who read that book, will they give it as a gift to someone else? Will they recommend it to someone else? Then you know it has a life of its own. It's rising on its own. There are books that sell in the millions, but then they fizzle out. And that's that. But something that continues to perpetuate has like an element of something eternal in it. And you can't buy that. You can't force people to recommend a book or give it as a gift. That's how truth spreads. The ripple butterfly effect. So to get back to our voices, I remember as my son, when he was a young boy, came home from school, he was very excited. And I said, what are you excited about? He said, I heard something really nice. What was it? You were born an original, don't become a copy. Being it was my son, he was excited, I got excited. And I saw why. It was a very powerful message. Years later, my son now has his own children. I asked him, do you remember that? He didn't even remember. But I did. I said, tell me, what happened with you? Are you an original or a copy? Now, no pun intended, my son is a copywriter. He's a creative director, a brilliant wordsmith. So his response to me was, I'm an original copy. Whatever that means. Yes, each of us is an original. We have many things in common. Obviously, we carry the DNA and the genes, and therefore the personalities of our parents. But all of us still have our own pattern, our own unique pattern. And we have, yes, our own unique songs. And we live in a time where we can so easily live vicariously through others. I know people who live through their soap opera heroes or heroines. People who live through sports stars, through sports, through athletes. Others through actors and actresses in Hollywood. Live your own life, your own voice. I remember the early stages of the internet. There was, I think, a website called Second Life, something like that. You pay thousands of dollars. You can create a virtual persona of yourself online, whatever you want to be. In real life, you may be shy. Here, you're a socialite. And people actually paid to be able to live that way. Little did they know that you are already an original. So there's no greater contribution you can make. I can speak for myself when I feel, or people tell me, you've helped me find my voice. That's the greatest gratification, because you help people find who they are. And it's not something you buy off a shelf, or you have to pay a seminar. It's right there within you. What a good coach can do, a good mentor, a good teacher, a good role model, a friend, is to help you recognize it within yourself and help you develop the courage to actualize it. How much pain would be avoided, prevented, if we found our own voice and we didn't feel we have to copy someone else. We didn't feel jealous. That person has, why can't I be like that person? But you have, only you have. And it's critical to be around people that reinforce that. And it's your song, it's your songs, your music, your life. Imagine the waste of living a life with your song still trapped inside you. But the externals and superficials of life take over, and life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. And you wake up one day and you say, who am I? I often mention people, you ask them, who are you? They give me their business card. And I say, your business card tells me what you do, not who you are. And some will sigh and say, well, I've been doing it so long, it's defined who I am. Who you are should define what you do. The ship should not be telling the captain where to go. The body shouldn't be telling the soul what direction you should travel in your life. So all this requires introspection, courage, and a support system that encourages that. Is in your corner supporting your effort and telling you can do it if you want to. Instead of naysayers saying, nah, the more things change, the more they stay the same, and all the cynicism and skepticism that just throws cold water on our dreams. So I would then suggest, take another piece of paper and write down the things you dream about, what you aspire to. And no holds barred. The list I mentioned before was what you're doing and how much of it is imposed on you or not. Now just write something free. If everything was equal level, a level playing field, and money was not a factor, and other forces, what would you be like? Who would you be? What dreams would you pursue? What aspirations? And then ask yourself, so why are you not doing it? Again, in the visible fear, invisible forces, and of course, the inertia of the status quo, doing something so long, you don't even feel it's possible. The possibilities close down, you throw in the towel. So I'm here to tell you, don't. You have a unique soul. And it's not that difficult if you apply yourself to discover it. It's ask yourself, who am I? Know thyself. I wrote a course that is out there called Discovering Your Personal Mission Statement. Later we gave it a name, Midlife Miracle, for people who are going through that midlife crisis type. But it's all about asking yourself the right questions, finding out who you are. You suddenly ask yourself your personality type. Let's say you're a people person, or you're very cerebral, very analytical. Are you using those skills? And you often find that the greatest strengths you have are you're not even using them. Again, for whatever reason. So it's really a detailed, first of all, analysis, an evaluation of your own character. We're working on turning it into something perhaps with like a questionnaire with AI that can help people use it to know yourself. Think of an X-ray of your inner psyche, and not what you think you are, or not what others think you are, or what others have done to shape you to whom you are right now. The real you. And then juxtapose that over the perceived you, or the developed you, the one that has emerged. And you suddenly realize what I'm doing, the life I'm living, is not very aligned to what I truly am capable of, or what I truly believe in. I mean, we know from surveys that people, even in areas of morality, often will do things because others do it. You hear an authority say something, people will do something that goes against their own conscience. They're not even thinking. They'll blindly follow the authorities. But you have to learn to ask yourself, should I be doing that? Am I just here to follow someone else's orders? Obviously, there are people that we can respect and trust, and they can help guide us, but never to replace you. You're an original. You have your unique song, and it's time to sing it. In many ways, the mission of our organization, Meaningful Life Center, my work, is exactly that, to help people find both their uniqueness and the courage to actualize it. So many of our materials, programs, online, writings, are all focused toward providing those type of indispensable life skills and tools that can help you discover your indispensability. So please take advantage of it. Check us out, meaningfullife.com, for a wide variety covering the entire spectrum of life. And I want to wish each one of us to be able to find that voice, to find your song. Because not only you need it. We need you. We need your unique touch, your unique voice. Because we can't be complete if you're not. And vice versa. So we're all part of one symbiosis, one quilt, one tapestry made up of all these beautiful shades and colors and details and sounds and songs. What greater message than that? Finding your voice, singing your song, being an original as you were born. Thank you. This has been Simon Jacobson, meaningfullife.com, where you can find all these resources. If this message was meaningful to you, resonated, please share with others. Please subscribe to our offerings, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I'd love to hear your unique thoughts, comments, feedback, critique, whatever it is that comes to you. And together, let us sing together. Let us jam together. Let us create this cosmic symphony of so many different voices, but in a harmony, where we all complement each other and are complemented by each other. Be blessed and be well. Thank you so much.
This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate.